Buenas and Holiday! My name is Frances Balahadja and I am an instructional coach with the Guam Department of Education's Division of Curriculum and Instruction. In this video, I will be going over how to design simple templates and also how to record timing and narration in a PowerPoint presentation. So if you're someone who isn't familiar with how to do this or someone who is interested in getting some ideas, then this video might be useful for you. So let's get started. Listed on this screen is what we'll explore in this video. I will go over how to create a simple template just to give you some ideas and how you could use PowerPoint to supplement your instruction. Then we'll look at how to record timing and narration in your presentation, and then we'll go over how to export your presentation into a video file. Here's a short list of ideas of how teachers might use PowerPoint to supplement instruction. You may have created such types already or possibly other types not listed. In the slides that follow, I'll show some simple slides of a few of these examples. Then I will demonstrate how to create a presentation with the same design as the one you're seeing right now. You'll notice that the examples in the next few slides are fairly simple designs. This is to show how even just using some of the basic tools in PowerPoint can help to add some character to your presentation. So one example that you might find useful is to provide a weekly overview of what will be covered in the different subject areas. Or you could highlight key points that you want students to focus on. Or you could also use it as a way to provide monthly updates or highlight successes or other milestones. This is an example of how you could highlight the week's focus in each subject. Or you can also include I can statements if you wanted. If you wanted to provide a little more detail about the different subject areas, this is one way. This can be helpful for students and parents in making connections to the importance of the skill as well as how they will be practicing it. Another thing that might be useful for both students and parents is an overall list of what they'll need to submit for the week. Again, what you see on this slide is a table. Table tools allow you to change the border of table cells, which you can see here in the outer border of this table. Read and respond learning activities are great strategies to help facilitate students' learning in reading. As a teacher, I've preferred to provide response prompts for students. One way to provide prompts is through a choice board. So with this particular choice board, students will connect 3 tiles by selecting an option from the board to complete each day. You can be strategic with the prompts that you include in your choice board so that students will get practice of different reading skills or strategies weekly. The choice board shown here was created again by inserting a table. Notice that the instructions are included to the left of the choice board. So I want to point out that there is quite a lot of content on this slide, which isn't always recommended. You could always opt not to include the directions so that the slide is not so busy, then just explain the directions in your narration. I've included it here just to give an idea of how it might be used. The last few slides are examples of different types of flashcards. As you can see here, you could use it for math facts practice, sight words. Here is one to help practice phonics. Another way to practice phonics. Then here's one with pictures. Again, depending on your students, you could also put each example on separate slides, or you can keep it together as shown here. Now, let's move on to the demonstration. Now we will continue on to a step-by-step demonstration of the items on this list. So now I'm going to share how I designed the PowerPoint presentation that you just saw. I'll go through the steps, and when you go into practice on your own, you can select the design elements that you like. So I'm going to begin by opening up a blank PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to select blank. You'll notice now that it automatically opens up to the Home tab. So one of the things that I want to do first is I want to change the size of my slide. And to do that, I can do it from the Design tab. You'll notice, just want to point out here at the top, that there are some ready-made themes that you could select, but I want to create my own background, so I'm not going to use any of those. But to the far right, you have the tool to change your slide size. So I'm going to click on that. Just as a note, if you wanted to customize the size of your slide, you can also do so by clicking on this tool, but I want the standard size, so I'm just going to click on that. Also take note that you can format the background of your slide from this tab also. But what I want to do is I actually want to go to the View tab, because I want to access the master views, and I want to click on the Slide Master. Now, the one thing about the Slide Master that I like is that any changes I make to any of the different layouts that you see here on the left, if you make any changes to the layouts, they will automatically be applied. So when you insert a new slide of any of these layouts, whatever changes you make in here would already reflect on that new slide. Now notice at the top, there is one slide, the very first slide that seems to be bigger than the rest. This is your master slide. So if you make changes to this slide as far as the background or font, it will automatically apply to all of the other layout designs. So that's what I want to do, because I know I just want the same background. So I'm going to make sure that this is selected, and then I'm going to go to background styles. Because I want my own background, I'm going to go to format background, and you'll notice that it opens up a new pane on the right. So to put in a picture, you just select picture or texture fill. So when I click that, there's a default texture fill that automatically pops up, but I am going to change that, and there are 3 options here. And just to point out, if you wanted to look for a particular background online, you can click on online and you can do a search, like let's say, for example, whiteboard. Click, and it'll take you to a whole bunch of images that you can select from. One thing I wanted to point out about this is that you'll notice that this Creative Commons only is highlighted. Creative Commons refers to a type of licensing. And so, of course, we have to be careful when we select images online that we are not violating any copyright issues. So this Creative Commons license typically are those that you are allowed to use at your leisure. But just to be sure, you could always, or you should always, just verify what the license says so that you're not violating any copyright. So I actually have the file that I want saved on my device. So I'm going to, instead of searching for one online, I'm going to insert picture from a file. So when I click on that, it opens up my folders. I have my folder here, and I actually have a whiteboard already saved. So I'm just going to click on that, then insert. So you'll notice that it has been inserted to this top slide, and then again, also with all the different layouts. If you notice, the frame of this whiteboard seems to be cut off from my slide. So to do that, to adjust that, you can go back to your format background pane. And at the very bottom here, you can see that there are some options to offset it. So the offset left and right is what I need to adjust. So you can do so by using the arrows. And if you keep clicking on the arrow, you'll see that the frame now appears. So you can use the arrows, or you can type in a number. So in this case, I'm just going to put 0. And you'll see that the other side of the frame is now showing. So now that I've inserted a background and it is applied to all of the different layouts, I want to now insert a picture. If you remember, I had a pennant banner running across the top of the whiteboard frame. So I'm going to insert that banner. And to do that, I'm going to go to the Insert tab. Again, you have the option to search for a picture online, but I have the picture saved on my device, so I'm going to click on Pictures, and there's that colorful pennant, and then I'm going to insert. Now you notice that the picture is quite large, and even if I place it at the top, it's going to cover some of my content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize it. Now when you're resizing pictures or objects, it's always a good idea to just resize from the corner so that it kind of keeps everything into proportion. So what I want to do is I want to do about 3 of these, so I'm just going to estimate. So there's 1. So all I have to do now is I'm just going to do a copy and a paste. A few ways to do this. If you're not familiar, you can right click and press copy, and then right click again, and then you have some paste options. Or of course the shortcut on your keyboard, you can select Control and C just to make sure that you have the correct object selected. So in this case I do. I'll just hit Control C and then Control V for paste, and then I'll just line it up next to the first one, and then I'll just do another Control V. Okay, so I have some space there, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to center it. But what I'll do first is I'll group these 3 different pictures together. So you notice I have one selected already. I'm going to hit the Control button and then hit Select and Select. That way it selects all 3 of it. If you notice on the tab that's activated right now, it's a Picture Tools Format tab, and from here I'm going to group it. And what it means when I group it is that now I can move it as one single object. Now it doesn't go from one end to the other, but that's fine with me. I'll just put it in the center. And again, if you notice, I'm just going to click on one layout design here. The same changes were applied. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my master, because now what I want to do is I want to insert a logo. So to insert a logo or any other picture, you would follow the same steps. Go to Insert, go to Pictures. I'm going to put in the GDOE logo. And again, it is quite large, so all I will do is I could resize it. So notice that there's this white space here, and sometimes it's not a big deal. If it is to you and you prefer that it be clear here, what you could try is make sure you have it highlighted or selected. You can go to Color, Set Transparent Color. So what that means is the next color that I click on will turn to transparent. So in this case, I want the transparent color to be white. So I'm going to click on any white space, and then you'll notice that now I can see behind it. Just so you know, sometimes it doesn't work well depending on the image. So if it doesn't, then you can just hit the undo button. So I'm going to resize and place it here on the bottom left corner. So if you had a certain logo, or you wanted to put your school logo, or maybe you have a special class logo, once you place it in this master slide, again, just so you can see in the different layouts, it applies the same thing. So I'm going back to that. I'm going to make sure that's selected, because one last change I do want to make is I want to change the font. So to do that, you have the option here. You can also change the color scheme. And what that does is anytime you insert, let's say, an object, it will use these this color pattern that whatever you select here. Okay, so what I want to do though is I want to change the font. Again, there are some preset font themes, or you can customize the font. I actually have one that I customized already, and I named it Chalkboard, so that's what I'm going to select. So again, because I made that change to the master slide, it applied to the layout slides. One last thing that I think I want to do here is I want to change the font size. So from here, I highlight, I'm going to go to the Home tab, and I think I will change it to 40. And then you'll see that it has applied. So going back to my Slide Master tab here at the top, I think for now that's about all that I really want to do or change from the master. So once I'm done here, I'm going to close my master view. And once I do that, it will take me back to my home view, and then I can start inserting slides and adding content. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create shells of slides for a couple of the learning activities that I showed in the first part of this video. And then we'll go over saving it as a template. So I'm not going to put any specific information just yet. I'm just creating my template. So I'm going to, for this first one, I'll start off with the weekly overview. And I'm just going to put the title. I'm only going to put what I know will stay the same, such as, let me highlight this, and I'll put my name here. And let's say I'm a 3rd grade teacher. And then I might put week of. And again, I'm not going to put a specific week just yet, just because this is going to be a template. So I've got this first title slide done. Now I want to insert a new slide. And you can do that in a number of ways. You could go to the top here in the ribbon and click on New Slide. You could also right click on this slide and then go to or select New Slide. Or another way also is to press the Enter button on your keyboard, like so. So for this one, you notice the layout that comes out, but if you wanted to change the layout, you can do so again by right clicking and then selecting Layout, and then you can select what layout you want. Or the other option is to select the layout here in the ribbon. So what I'll do is I'll just right click here. For this particular slide, I'm going to be inserting shapes. So I don't need that text box in the bottom. So I'm just going to select the title only slide or layout. I'm going to double tap there. And here I will title this as highlights. So for this particular slide, I want to just be able to highlight the key skill that we will be working on with each subject. So now I'm going to just insert shapes. Okay, so to do that, you can go to the ribbon, go to the Shapes tool, click on it, and you'll see all the different types of shapes. So I'll start with multiplication, and you'll notice that little cross there. And so to insert the shape, you just click on the mouse and then drag, and you can make it to whatever size you want. So I'll just leave it like that. Now, one of the things I want to do, because this is going to be a template, I want to make sure that all my shapes are formatted. So I'm going to be adding text to this later on, but I want to make sure it's all set up. So I'm going to make sure that my shape is selected. I'm going to use the same font, and I'll just keep it at that size. I could always adjust it later, but I want to make sure that the font color is going to be black. So I'm just going to select just to make sure. Again, I'm not going to put any specific information just yet. I'm just inserting my shapes and setting up my template. So I'm going to insert another shape, and I'm going to select a heart. Just right here. And again, drag on the mouse and make it as large or small as you want. I have it selected. I'm just going to click on the font color here, and because I have the shape selected, it will apply that font color. To change the color, you can go to the tab, Format tab, and I'm actually going to change the color of this heart. I'm going to change the fill to a pink. So you have some colors here, or you can go to more fill colors because the color that I want isn't listed there. So I'm going to go to the standard tab, and I just kind of want a light pink. Hit OK. Now it's showing a blue outline color. I want to change that, and I'll probably make it a darker pink. So I'm going to go again to the standard tab and look for a darker pink. Maybe this one. Okay, I think I'm satisfied with that. And what I actually want to do is I want to make this a lighter blue. So I'm going to select it, go to Shape Fill, and change the color of the fill. So now you see additional shapes on this slide. And what I've done was I've just followed those same steps to insert these 3 additional shapes that you see. You'll also notice that I've already included another slide that I want to put as part of my weekly overview template. And with this slide, all I did was insert a table from the Insert tab. And then if you highlight the table and go to the Design tab under the Table Tools, you can adjust or format the border that you like by selecting the type of border, the thickness or the width of the border, and then selecting where you want it to be applied. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save it as a template. And that is so that the next time I open it, it will treat it like a blank document, like a brand new document. And so I could go in and put in the applicable information for that week. So to do that, I'm going to go to the File tab, and I'm going to hit Save As. I'm going to select the folder that I want to put it in. I actually want to put it in my templates. So the file name, I'm going to change it to Weekly Overview. And instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to save it as a PowerPoint template. You notice that it changed the folder, so I'm going to make sure to put it back in the folder that I want it in, and that's just so that it's easier for me to find. Okay, I have it saved as a PowerPoint template. I'm going to hit Save. And what happens is if I close this out and I open up that template, what's going to happen is it's going to treat it like a brand new document. If you notice at the top, it says Presentation 1, and that means that it is a blank presentation. So once I start editing, so let me just add in a date, 7/2/11/2020. I'm going to go to my next slide, and now I can add in the highlights for each subject in this week. So for these shapes, to add the text, you could select it, right click, and go to Edit Text. So I'll do this one for math. And let's say we're working on word problems with 2-digit multiplication. So I have that for math. And if I wanted to, I could adjust the font. I'm going to leave it as is for now. And so what I would do is I would do that same process with all the other shapes and add in the applicable subject information. And then again, if I have assignments that I want students to remember to turn in this week, I would include it here. So I'll type in, the story is my great grandma didn't respond. Sheet. Okay, so if I had anything else that I wanted them to turn in for the week, I would include it in the applicable box. So now, remember that our presentation is still considered a blank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and maybe I'll just put it in the documents one. Instead of weekly overview, I might include the week, September 7 to 11, or however it is that you name it. You notice that it is saving as a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So now you have your template. This particular one is for this week. Once I close this out, if I should open up that blank template again, I could start off with a new week and a different type of information for each of the subjects or the schedule. So what you'll notice is I've added in additional information for the other subject areas and also some assignments just to show how it would look like. Now what I want to go over is adding narration and timing to your presentation. So what we can do is we'll go to the slideshow tab, and in the setup command group, you have the tool to record your slideshow. So if you click on that, you have the option to start recording from the beginning or recording from the current slide. I'm going to hit record from the beginning. I'm going to keep those selected, and then I'm going to hit start recording. So what you can see is that the slideshow has started, and as I'm talking, it is actually recording my narration and recording also the timing, so that when I need to advance the slide, I just press the arrow button and it records the time that I spent on that previous slide. And it will automatically advance when you play the PowerPoint presentation. So you could talk about each slide. Again, press the arrow button, and then when you are done, press the escape. And you'll notice on the slides here, there's a star indicating that there is some sort of recording or animation in that slide. So to preview, you could start your slideshow from up here. There is also a shortcut on the bottom right. So I'm going to click that just to see if we got our recording. So you can preview it to see if you like it. So let's just test it to see if it did record. So I'm going to hit slideshow. So what you can see is that the slideshow has started, and as I'm talking, it is actually recording my narration and recording also the timing. So you can hear that when I need to advance that it does work. So I'm just going to escape. Arrow button. Now let's say that you gone through, you previewed, and you didn't like one of the slides, the narration. You could always go back and you can clear the timing on the current slide, or if you wanted to start all over, you can clear the timing on all the slides. So let's just say we like what we have done. I want to save it. Now to load this up into my Google Classroom, I could upload it to the stream, and it would load as a PowerPoint presentation. However, some of my students may not have the PowerPoint application, so an alternate solution to that could be to save this now or to export it as a video file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to my File tab and I'm going to go to Export. And you notice the different options. I'm going to go to Create Video. So here you have some options. Do you want the largest file? Usually larger files take up more memory. So just so that, because this is a demonstration, I'm just going to hit low quality. Here you have the option to use recorded timings and narrations. I want to keep my narrations in there because I'm discussing things, specific details about the PowerPoint presentation. And then you just simply hit Create Video. Again, notice that you have the same title, however, the type is a MPG-4 video. I'm going to put that in my documents. I'm just going to save. So here on the bottom, you could see it creating the video. So once that video is done, we want to test it. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go to my documents and look for that video and open it up. So what you can see is that the slideshow has started, and as I'm talking, it is actually recording my narration and recording also the. So that is the video. Once I have that video, I can then upload that into my Google Classroom. So we've just covered how to format master slides, create a simple template, and record timing and narration on a PowerPoint presentation. Another item we explored is how to export your presentation into a video file. Exporting your presentation into a video might be helpful for students who may not have the PowerPoint application on their device. As you practice, I hope you enjoy exploring the features demonstrated in this video. Si Dios maasi, adios!